Are there none more irate than a pirate? Let's find out. Hit it. It costs you nothing because it's Freeport, the port of plenty, the neutral place, and that is where our party have found themselves. Green Ronin's creation, Greenport. Greenport?
Greenport?
Yes, it's kind of an amalgamation. Greenport. Freeport is by Green Ronin, so again, we're keeping it in-house, but it was another system that was used and primarily made as a module series with the True 20 system in mind. However, I've taken this and said, right, okay. Some of the ideas that they were discussing on the forum about having a little island that the forum would coalesce together to create, and making it a roundabout where the W is on Waking Sea, just under Navarra. That really fell through. There wasn't enough done. I submitted a few ideas and such, but it never really happened. So I found Freeport, and I decided, you know what? Screw it, right? I'm going to take Freeport, I'm going to add it to Dragon Age now, as a city island, right? As new DLC. It's like last week, right, when they played, they were like, ooh, the game's patching. There's going to be DLC.
Well, yeah,
There's new content.
Yeah, well, the fact is, between us getting to Freeport, we had to wait for the DLC, because we spent a couple of weeks waiting for the DLC to be put together.
Well, yes. It was one of those. Well, it was one of those long downloads in advance,
Yeah.
And so finally, it has arrived for them, and they are in the new zone,
As it were.
So they're like, "Ooh, let's try and do the new quests! Quick, look for the people with the exclamation mark! Stop it! Stop it!
Wow. Dragon Age doesn't have the exclamation marks above their heads.
Stop it! Stop it!
No, it's got the exclamation marks on the mini-map.
Yes. You decide, let's sort of get to know the city, maybe? Well, Tanador wanted to get on the first ship out of there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's going to cost more money.
And of course, this has meant me trying to do a full conversion, I might add, which is a bit of pain in the derriere.
Yeah, which is why it took so long to actually figure stuff out, I guess.
Yeah. What a pain. But anyway. Midgard Bestiary has been really helpful for that, anyway.
Well, that does save trouble, doesn't it? If there's stuff in one of the bestries that just happens to work.
Oh, yes.
Says you're having to convert stats.
Oh, yes. So anyway, I said, right, guys, look, you want to get to know anything about the city, because you know nothing about this city, except for the fact that there's no Chandri here. Apostates really aren't threatened here. It's a neutral zone, and pirates can come and go. That's all you really know. And it's kind of like a sort of a, I don't know. It's a neutral den, and there's a leader and a council under him, but that's really it. So I said, right, if you want to do this, you could go out carousing. Okay, so you do your usual thing. You spend a bit of silver. You get that much experience back. Some events and things might occur.
Yep.
Bad things might happen, and I'll feed you a load of information about the city as well.
Yeah.
I think that's quite good, isn't it? You hit the taverns, you hit the place, you get the local story.
Yes, and Gabe ended up pissing off a noble.
Yeah, and they all got hangovers and were -2 to all tests.
Yep.
Now, for about half the day, I think the guys are liking the carousing thing, and it doesn't give too much experience, does it?
No.
But it's just a little something extra, and again, it keeps them poor. How much did you end up spending? Gold 20, was it?
That was Tanadil.
That was Tanadil.
Tanadil spent a gold 20. Carrick spent a gold, and Gabe spent about 80 silver.
Remember, again, we're having it so that you choose an amount, and then you roll a d6, and it's multiplied by that amount. Okay, and that's the amount of silver you spend, and that's the amount of experience you gain. You found out a few things. You found out that there was a lighthouse being built, which is supposed to be the highest structure in the known world.
Yeah.
Milton's Folly. Named after Sea Lord Milton Drac. There was a whole history behind the Sea Lord and the family ancestors that came before, and the whole
As always.
politics is a big, big old backstory behind that, which you guys don't know, but it would reveal a lot of things to you if you did.
Yeah, of course it would.
And then there's something else, a backstory that goes before that, Before elves, before dwarves, before men came out of their hidey hovels, scared of the dark. Before any of this, something else lived upon the planet, says I. Oh, yes. Because if any of you are aware of Freeport, you'll be aware of the something else that probably I'm intending did live on the planet. So anyway.
Intent.
Spent a bit of time in the taverns, came out a bit drunk.
Yep.
Worse for wear. Got attacked by a press gang.
Well, they tried.
Well, yeah. They set upon you, got all around you, and said, "Right, you're coming with us. You're going to have a life at sea." And you guys pretty much just intimidated them and talked them out of it. You're quite good at this, aren't
Carrack
you?
was like, looks at Tanadil, looks at Agnes, looks at Gabe, and then looks at Blacktails, like saying something about each character. It's like,
Yep.
turns to the guy who's meant to be leading. You're gonna need more men.
You haven't brought enough men. Yeah.
That's basically it. You're gonna need more men.
Yeah. Well, as it turns out, the guy that was at the front realised that he was closest as the others were backing off, and then he quickly scampered so that he was furthest, and so forth. It left the leader at the front, and he started backing off, saying, "Well, I guess you aren't worth it then."
And then Carrack was like, rock to the head, boom, knocks him into the water.
Yeah, he went sideways into the water, which is he was swimming to try and pull himself up onto like a jetty thing, and some insults were shouted to him.
Yeah.
You know, next time you think about trying to do that, remember this lesson or something like that.
They're like, I'll decide what fucking ship I want to get on.
Yeah. Oh. So, yeah. Then a man in robes had been watching the encounter, and he approached, and he introduced himself as Brother Egil, from a priest of the temple of the God of Knowledge. And instantly you were like, Picata? What temple and god is this?
Yeah.
Beggar? Because there is only the chantry, surely. Well, you know, in this place, they have some queer ideas. Is it being a neutral zone and all? There's no chantry, so they have to worship something else. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, a small council of people, you can imagine there's almost something ancient and ritualistic in their backgrounds.
Well, the funny thing is, when we go to Ravane, Amelia could end up doing a carousing situation, although in her case it'd be more of a case of trying to find out more about her heritage.
Yeah. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. He said, well, look, I'm going to be frank with you. My friend, the librarian at the temple, Brother Lucius, has gone missing. He's been missing for 2 days. I'm worried something's happened to him. And I'm willing to offer you just over 50 silver to look into it.
Yeah.
And you guys were being very, very shifty with him. And saying, look, that's not worth our time. 50 silver.
Well, it's more of a case like, Gabe's more the type to try and convince someone to give him more money for doing a job.
But...
And the way he was putting it, and the way Carrack was trying to discern information, was like, there could be something much more worse going on here, and 50 silver is not going to be worth it if we happen to run afoul of something. If your friend is dead, then you us trying to find out if he is dead is going to put us in a situation where we have to take on the people who probably killed him. And that could be more hazardous, and we want more hazard pay out of this.
And then you started to empathise. Successful empathy tests, and realise that he was actually being very, very honest about everything he was saying, seemingly. Yeah. Because at first you were really saying, oh, how do we know this isn't something he got mixed up in with you? Yeah. Now, a little secret about the priests of the temple. Your character won't know.
Obviously.
They are sworn to a life of poverty.
Yes, well, he did say that was the only amount of money he could scrounge together.
It's not his.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not allowed money. He's had to try and shake money up.
Yeah, it came to 2 gold and 40 copper. Divided amongst the players. It was 50, just over 50 silver.
So anyway, In the end, you agreed to do it. And
10 silver up front.
Yeah, you said, right, where should we go first? Should we check his house? After asking him a whole load of questions about it. It turns out Lucius had gone missing for 5 years, had been not acting himself just before that, and had got dismissed from the temple.
Yeah.
And a whole load of stuff going on there. What's happened to him? And then he started having bad dreams again, and his mind, he seemed to be becoming unravelled and going insane almost, and he didn't seem right again, and he kept asking loads of questions obsessively to the High Priest Theron, saying, look, what was I actually doing just before I left? And of course, when he did return, after the 5 years the first time, he was allowed back into the Order after a meeting with the High Priest, and something was said or done to allow him back in, which you later discovered what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway...
Yeah. The fact is, Gabe doesn't trust this High Priest.
You did actually later discover that it was the books that he brought back that had important writings in, very rare and important mystical items of interest, and it was, he agreed to donate it to them in return for coming back in.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. You went to Lucius's house, and you had a good search around. Egil let you in because he didn't want you going to Lucius's house on your own.
Yeah.
And you found on his desk a to-do list. Turnips.
Yeah.
This is where turnips came into it. Well, there was a whole few things to do.
Yeah.
And one of them was get more sleep. Get sleep.
Get
more sleep.
It was get sleep, talk to Captain Scarbelly, turnips, write in diary, get more sleep.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And you thought, Captain Scarbelly? You've heard of him. He's one of the notorious pirates that, you don't find Captain Scarbelly, he finds you.
Yes, and Karak and Tandu were like, turnips is on there, that's got to be important. It's got to be everything got to do with the turnips.
They were convinced, weren't they?
Yes.
They said, if this was Imperium, the turnips would have played a part.
Whether or not it was actually anything to do with the story, it would have still played a part.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, but this is Imperium, you didn't write it. In fact, you need to write it anyway.
And also, you managed to find a secret compartment, a false bottom of the drawer of the desk, which had a whole load of diary entries in there. All the players read the diary extracts, the ones that were considered important. Yeah. Well, then, you had a look around generally. In the basement, you found a bookshelf that had a very new smell to it, but no books on it.
And a display cabinet that looked like it once held something, but doesn't hold it anymore. Yes. How long it held it for? Oh yeah, it was like examine travel logs was also on the to-do list. And Gabe was like, whose travel logs?
Well, there was a very important piece of the puzzle waiting to be uncovered that wasn't necessarily. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right, so next stop was the temple.
Yes, but Gabe decided, right, I'm going to go stake out the Bloody Vengeance.
Yes, the ship, the Scarbelly's ship. The Talvajoth pirates.
Yeah.
So, he's gone off separate. They've gone to the temple to try and speak to the High Priest Theron, and they meet a doorman, somebody at the door who accosts them. The first line of defence.
Norton.
His name's Norton, yes. Norton. At the door. The way in. So...
Well, okay, does he have a brother called Mac Caffey?
That could be his surname, actually. Norton McAfee. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And he'd say, look, I assure you that's where these odd coincidences end. All right?
He's like, have you...
And if you
making jokes about, has he had any viruses lately?
If you have any more doubts, you can speak to my foreman, Mr. Kaspersky. Well, you ended up meeting Milos, who's the high-ranking, a pretty high-ranking guy who wouldn't let you get at the High Priest.
He wouldn't let us do much.
He said, look, the High Priest is busy with arrangements for Milton's Folly, the lighthouse, all right? That's all going on, so you'll have to talk to me. You simply won't be allowed through. And you guys really didn't hit it off very well with
No,
it,
they
you?
didn't.
You did hit something off.
Well, Tado was going to punch him in the face. Agnes stopped him and then punched him in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the clerics got called in.
Oh no, it's not the clerics.
And it all got...
They shall start spontaneously casting heal spells at us.
Yes. And that could have got interesting. Who knows what the clerics would have been.
Oh, yeah.
So, they were en route.
What type of cleric? The Mr. I am going to be a more militant cleric, or the cleric that's going to sit back and spout random bullshit at you?
Well, it's the temple of the god of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So, think about it. What do you guys think clerics from that would have been? Answers below. Right, anyway, moving on, but we didn't get to meet them.
No, they ran from them. They ran from them, they did.
Well, it could have been pretty awkward.
Yes, it could have been.
So, that was the encounter there, pretty much shut down at that point. You got a few answers out of Milos. You realised that, yes, he'd been dismissed. What was the terminology now again? For violating the sanctum.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that means.
Two lots of sources have said that now. Violating the sanctum.
Whatever that means, I don't know.
Anyway, as you're running away from the temple, you then head to Bloody Vengeance.
They head to the docks, the Bloody Vengeance, to catch up with Gabe.
Gabe gives the team a rundown on what he's seen so far.
It's not much.
The pirates seem pretty tetchy.
Yeah.
None have come aboard or left.
And the ones that are on the dock, to begin with, are accosting members of the public, and the guards aren't batting an eye. However, they've been in dock for about 11 days, so just for the sheer amount of time that Gabe's been there, he hasn't seen anyone come off the ship or go aboard. So that doesn't mean they haven't done it beforehand.
Well, here's the great thing. They aren't just NPCs who happen to be there. I know what mission they're on. It's got completely nothing to do with you guys. Unless you made it something to do with you. At which point it would then become something to do with you.
Yeah.
But I at least know that in case you guys would have made it something to do with you. I know why they're actually here for a reason. There's something going on.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing.
Yes, and I've got a bad feeling.
I mean, there could have even been loot.
Yes.
As a result of it.
Yes.
Let's just put it that way. There's a whole thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, you went to the ship and, bad words were spoken and you were told to sod off, and the guard, he called the first mate aggro. Aggro. Okay, you pulled aggro.
Yes. It's like, I don't want to tank him.
And he's a big old Talvashoth.
Yes.
And he's...
very, very big.
Yeah. Well, a pirate Talvashoth. So, it's not like a warrior berserker one. But
no, but still.
I know. And he's the first mate. And he was pissed off, and he was telling the group to bugger off as well. And
yep.
You were all saying, well, look, we actually hear about Lucius. So what can you tell us about him? He said, yeah, Lucius came here.
I told him to start off.
Just like I'm telling you. He wanted to see the captain. He was bleating on about stuff.
Well, yeah.
Just like you wanted to.
Talking about bleating on about stuff, the fact that every time somebody didn't give us what we wanted, Tanner was calling them cowface or moo or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dear God, this is not going to go well.
Yeah, they'd swallowed an awful lot out of you because of the mission they were on.
Yeah.
They were on a very delicate mission.
Yep.
And they were under strict orders from the captain. Don't attract unwanted attention. Don't leave the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cause a scene.
Yeah.
Because of the mission they're on.
Yeah.
Or else you guys would have been ram-raided on land.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, considering this fact, there's like, right, pulls his scimitar and cuts a line into the gangplank.
Yeah, Aggro did that. And he said, look, you step one more step beyond that line, and that's it. You're for it.
And Craig was like, oh, you did not just do that.
That's
the word. You've got Jez here. That's the worst possible idea you could do.
Yeah, he was actually doing an impression of what Jez would do, kind of anime toon style. Going up to the line and just putting a toe over it.
Yes. I was like, it could be worse. He could be doing stuff like this, going up to the line and putting his leg over, but not actually putting his foot down. I'm not over the line yet. What are you going to do about it?
You got lucky again.
Yes.
On the basis of that. They were waiting for fortunes to pay off, let's just say.
Yeah.
Money was at stake.
Yep.
So they couldn't screw up.
Craig walks all the way to the end of the ship.
And fired a rock straight through the back window.
Because that's where the captain's cabin is, right?
Nearly always. On every ship.
Yep.
Except these.
Yeah.
Because it's actually supposed to be an orc ship, in fact, from the True 20 system. But so this has been converted into...
Age.
Well, yes.
And there's no orcs in Age.
So we've made them Talvashoth pirates. Because Talvashoth do become pirates.
Yep.
And we've gone with the same thing as the orcs, that the captains and first mate share a bunk at the other end of the ship, because they like the way the waves make it go up and down.
Yes, that doesn't sound gay at all. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty much what Craig said at the time, more or less. It's like, I don't want to know. Working together, we flip the gangplank off of the boat, and then we cut the middle and the rear mooring lines.
Leaving one line of the three attached so that the boat would swing out of its docked position.
Yeah.
So it's like it's parked in sideways and then it's swung out like that. And so they're kind of screwed.
And that's when Scarbelly came out half-shaved and was like, what the bloody hell is going on?
And he was the biggest one of the lot.
Yeah.
He looked bigger than them, not even properly armoured.
Yeah. Not even trying. Oh dear.
And there were some real words exchanged. And Karak got very wordy at this point.
Yeah.
Saying, look, we came along, we tried to be nice, we tried to do it one way, we tried to just ask, but you wouldn't do it, would you? No, you ended up with us having to cut your lines and cause all this trouble. Now look at you floating adrift. Well, screw you, sort of thing, You brought it on yourselves. And he just shouted back at them and he said, right, that's it. I know your faces. You've made an enemy of Captain Scarbelly. I'm going to find you, and I'm going to gut you like fish.
The funny thing here is if they meet up again, and Amelia's with the group, it's like, right, I've found you now, you bastards. She's going to be like, turning to them, it's like, what the bloody hell did you two idiots do this time?
But this isn't just a pirate.
No.
This is one of the...
No, here's the thing.
The bloodthirsty...
Karag and Tanadil...
Noted ones.
Were contemplating whether or not... Yes, let's actually fight them. At the time. I was like... Are you fucking serious?
Yes, let's...
That's an entire pirate crew. Yeah. Probably fully statted.
Karag and Tanadil...
This isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to be...
aren't they?
Yes, it's like... Okay. There's fear. There's people who will try and not show their fear, and then there's Karag and Tanadil, who are too stupid to know what fear is.
Yeah, they really should know better.
Gabe was like, okay, you do this, I'm going to run. Okay? Not the best course of action to be going up against a pirate crew.
Anyway, you left them adrift. You didn't get to find out all the whatnots and where-whos.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be easy to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And, was there ways to have got aboard and to have found out what's really going on and talked to the captain?
Probably.
Well, yeah, there has to have been.
Wait to the cover of night.
You could have waited to cover of night.
The original idea was...
Sneaked on.
The original idea was Karag and Tanadil and Agnes cause a ruckus. Gabe stealths into the water and climbs up onto the ship.
That's another way.
And then try and finds the captain. However, whilst he's on board, Gabe's going to be in a position like, right, I'm by myself. This guy's probably a majorly statted opponent. If I piss him off, I'm screwed. Mm-hmm. So things would have to be pretty damn good of Gabe to have to come up with some damn good dice rolls and some good RP.
You'd have to get a dagger to his throat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was the thing though. On aggro, Canada was trying to do his old, put a dagger at the guy's chest. Like, you sure you want to fucking do that?
Well, I said no.
That was Canada was probably going to try and come up with, wasn't it?
Well, he was actually saying that's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He was saying, look, before he knows it, he's got a dagger up against him. I said, whoa, hold on. Before you would even get to do that, his hand's right there on his hilt, and he's ready to go. Yeah. And he's took a step back, ready to draw.
Yeah.
His scimitar. I suppose you could have bribed your way on. Pirates like the smell of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have shone a bit of silver in front of them, or gold, I'm pretty sure you could have got a brief audience with the captain.
Mm-hmm.
These fools are willing to actually pay just for 10 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
So...
But the thing is, at this point, Gabe's already stolen 2 pieces of items from the previous captain's ship we were on. Both the whalebone pipe, or whatever bone it is, and a snuff box. That is, Gabe could probably sell those.
Yeah. Whereas, like, here, now, this guy's, he's intentionally difficult. Yeah. But the actual true story behind him is that Lucius did indeed contact Scarbelly at the time when his mind had changed.
Yeah.
Had no recollection of doing it. And had said to Scarbelly and his men, well, I want to join your crew and travel around, sail with you, and take notes of what you do. I want to observe. So,
yeah,
they've had quite a bit of history with Scarbelly
already. Yeesh.
Lucius. So Scarbelly was a quite important factor to the past of Lucius, which is now closed down because of bullheadedness.
Yep.
You could have played on the arrogance.
Yeah, well, considering Talbashoff and their horns, bullheadedness indeed.
Could have played on the arrogance of pirates and their lust for gold.
Yeah, we could have done.
By offering them a little monetary sum, because they aren't going to relent out of the kindness of their heart. They're fucking pirates.
Considering they tried, the original idea of trying to get on board was to have Agnes seduce the pirate on the go.
And he turned her around and said, "You look like you've got a badger on your head."
And Carrack was like, right, obviously women aren't your thing. Tried to do his own variation of getting on board.
Yes, him. But no.
No dear.
So another line of inquiry shut down, but all was not lost. Because, if the group gets derailed on the quest, I don't so much mind. Because if all the avenues were closed and the group had closed them, and I didn't feel like bringing it back, I'd be quite happy to just call a organic end to the thing. But there was one path
left open to us.
Left to them. Possibly a second one.
Possibly.
There would have been another way, possibly as well. But each one gets more and more slender.
Yeah.
So the obvious ones are done. Then the first of the more slender ones is you spotted Milos in the street walking around, and you thought, "Oh, let's follow him. What's he up to?" And he doesn't know we're following him.
Yeah.
So you started trailing him through the streets successfully, and he went into an alleyway and started walking down it, and you guys started to go down the alley, and in the end sent Blacktail down.
And Gabe was like, "I'm going up."
Now, this is where you had your little solo roguey moment, isn't it?
Yes.
So I'm going to leave the chair here to Laurie to explain what happened next.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes, well, silliness occurred when I got on top of the roof. Or on top of the building to see the roof. I saw 4 people stationed on the roof at different points. There were 3 crossbow wielding guys, and one who was a mage. With Gabe, I stealthed up behind the mage and pushed him off the edge of the roof. Rob gave me a pair of free attacks on the other 2 crossbowmen nearby. They were right next to him within melee range. I killed one outright and wounded another one with a backstab attempt. In return attack mode, he missed me. But I managed to finish him off as well. So that was 3 of them taken down. I then got lucky with the 4th guy not spotting me yet. So I tried to sneak over. Was unsuccessful on the sneak attempt. However, I took a mad sprint at him. And in typical Chuck Norris style, I did a roundhouse kick and sent him flying off the roof with a proc of 6 points on a skirmish. I just used all 6 of them to send him off the roof. He got, basically, take the piss. He goes like halfway across in between a gap, looks down and tries to scramble mid-air to try and stop himself from falling. Before he falls down and hits the ground. Pretty much like, everyone was like, Laurie, that is so you to have that happen. I was like, I don't make this stuff up. The Rolls told me what happened, and Rob tells me what happens because of it. When I thought it was clear, it wasn't clear, because there were some guys down the alley, however. And whilst one of them tried to skulk off, I threw a dagger, embedding it in his shoulder. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. Yes, I had my own little Chuck Norris moment.
Yeah.
As you put it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Now,
just cleared the entire rooftop by myself.
They were after you and not Milos. And Milos didn't seem to bat an eyelid and didn't know it had happened.
Yeah.
Or didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd already left the alley once it was all going on. And then, you drop back down and go with the group and say, look, I've just cleared that up there. All Altair style. So now, you carried on, you managed to find Milos again, you found him from up there.
Well, let's put it this way. When Gabe levels up, I'm going to probably taking some unarmed training.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're climbing at this rate.
Mm-hmm. Might be best.
Well, you started following him again, but now the people that attacked you were a mercenary order called the Yellow Shields.
Yellow Shields?
But the melee guys with yellow shields kind of scampered before you had a chance to meet them.
Yeah.
But they were the Yellow Shields.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been one...
Considering what happened in the end, I wouldn't be surprised if they had the symbol on their shields, to be honest.
They would have been one last avenue to get the group back on track to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Interrogation.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. After
that, I think the trail would have been pretty cold.
Yes. If it's one of those things where it gets to the point where it's like, right, you want your group to be having something to do with this campaign line because it's the campaign line that you set up, and if they don't follow it through to the end, it's stupid. You've just wasted your entire time.
Wow.
It's a different matter. But if it's something that isn't part of the main campaign that you've set up, it's just a side story, then it doesn't really matter.
Well, yeah, I mean, I see every session really as part of your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in and out of things all the time, flitting.
Yes,
and everything,
but you get my point. Let's say you've got this big old book. Let's say you've got this big old book that has like 500 odd pages worth of campaign plot.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else you might use is sub-plot lines to go on top of it. If it's something in the main book, you're probably going to want to find a way to get them back on track again.
Put it this way. You could say that your main campaign storyline in Season 1 was Ban Nicola.
Yeah.
Right? But you could say that in Season 2, your main campaign storyline is Zort and Throg.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you've done no Zort and Throg stuff yet, except a couple of Squire battles.
Yeah.
And that's it. So you've done nothing main campaign, and you're already nearing on level 7.
Yep.
So I think it's hard to define it by the way that I run games, because the way I see it is all of this becomes a campaign organically by coming together, squishifying.
Yeah.
And if it would have gone cold there, it would have gone cold there. But the consequences instead for failure would be felt.
Yep.
Because, I mean, well, stuff's happening, as you later found out. Anyway, you followed Milos back to a disused building that had like bits of masonry and stuff all fallen down on the inside of it. It was locked.
Yeah.
You jigged the lock to open it. The windows were bricked up, so you really couldn't tell anything about it. Once you got in, you found eventually became basically, there was nothing there except a way forward that led into what seemingly was a wine cellar with casks.
Yeah.
You investigated the casks. You could have checked the footprints if you'd have thought to, before you'd gone traipsing all around the room and undoing them with your own footprints.
Yeah, well...
To said, oh, is there any footprints leading to one of the casks?
Well, I did ask that as soon as we entered the building, if it looked well-travelled, like if the dust had been disturbed.
That's when you entered the building, yes.
Yeah, but I didn't consider to ask it later on.
In the later section, I would have just said outright, trekking please, and it won't be difficult.
It'd be a low number.
And yes, you can see footprints going straight towards that barrel over there.
Yeah. Instead, everyone decided to check random barrels.
They're checking them, knocking them, rattling them, and in the end, we managed to find one with a secret compartment. Tandal found it with a little under-notch thing, and you click the lever, and it swings.
Figured it out because it's like, this one's loose.
He was trying to check by the way they rock, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Bringing his knowledge of wines into play a little bit there. And yes, the barrel opened up, and there was a secret passage beyond that led down eventually to stairs. And then you were in the Temple of the Unspeakable One.
And Gabe's been put on point throughout this entire thing.
Yeah. So, at this point, we start mapping it out so that you get a sense of your spatial surroundings. Because you guys really do need to work visually, don't you?
Yeah.
So, because you like to say, oh, well, look, if you fall back to here and I'll go to here and you stand here.
Yeah.
And you're that kind of group, aren't you?
Yep.
So you
And the fact is, all but one of us is a melee character at this point.
You rounded the corner.
Yeah.
And came to a
big old room with two doors.
A junction. Really, wasn't it? Well, sort of. An intersection. A rectangle intersection. The left wall had no door. The front wall had a door. And the right wall had a door.
Yeah.
And obviously you've just come in from the south. Tunnel. Passage. Right, so right in the middle of there was a trapdoor.
A pit trap.
A pit trap thing. Gabe set it off. He rolled really great on dexterity. Managed to just step backwards in time.
Strained himself doing so, but...
Strained backwards. Lost a point of...
1 point of health isn't really much.
Hit points from fatigue. The strain of not falling in.
Yes, one fatigue point.
Which also comes off your HP.
Yeah.
And, well...
So really, it wasn't that much of a loss of health, to be honest, in the long run. But still.
No, if you'd have fallen in the pit, it might have been, though.
Yeah.
So, that was set off, and you checked the rest of the floor and found that it wasn't trapped.
Yep.
So
Reset the main trap.
Yes, and then decided, you know what, we'll check the side room first.
Gabe was like, I'm going to put my ear up against it. See what I can hear.
Yeah, you didn't hear anything. You can't always hear malevolence. It can be quiet.
Yes.
So you opened it, and it was octagonal.
Uh-oh.
Painted black.
Number 8. We're not meant to say number 8.
And it had like stars painted all over it.
Yeah.
It looked like, the stars of a night sky above. Very strange, creepy, eerie feeling the room gave you. And there was a pit in the centre. And that was a perfectly round pit. And it took up quite a bit of the room. And from a bit of a look around, you found candles, you found incense, you found a gong. And there was starting a conversation about it. Now, what happens when people find all these kind of things like this? They want to play with them, don't they? Parties like to play with the things, don't they? Now, just in case they were going to play with anything, there was a sidebar called Now You've Done It, which explains what would happen if they played in a very specific way. However, there wasn't actual instructions.
We spent about 20 odd minutes debating whether or not, yes, let's do this, no, we're not going to do this.
Because Karak used his arcane lore and his things to try and study the paper.
Yeah.
To work out what the meanings of the symbols might correlate to be. And the original,
what might occur.
The original module doesn't have anything written there to suggest the order that you should do things in. It's just if the group happened to do it in that order, they set it off, the initiation rite. However, in true Dragon Age style,
it's always written down.
you can write down a list, an order in an obscure manner, just like the Mage's Tower incident.
Yeah.
So
the summoning circles.
Exactly. You see all these silly things. So I thought, do you know what? It's like paying a little homage to that, having that there doable.
Yeah. And also there was another thing that opened up a secret door in the Brazilian forest ruins. So you do everything in the right order.
So I had it written there: light the candles, burn the incense, bang the gong 3 times.
Yeah.
And he shall take note. The unspeakable one, that is. And I was trying to decide where you guys are all going to be in the room to actually conduct the ceremony. Because you were saying, do we really want to be banging a gong, making noise, letting our enemy know
that's the big argument for why not to do it. I mean, if we bang that gong, we're going to let people know we're here.
However, the cask door had a silent magical alarm on it, so they ought to know you're here.
Mm-hmm.
What we've done now is give them more time to prepare. Yeah. Anyway,
it got to the point. It's like, okay, I'm going to go into the pit, says Gabe, and see what the fuck's in there.
You were almost getting ready to stand in the pit while the ceremony was going on, and as soon as you said you were going to do that, I was trying to hide my excitement.
I went in, found nothing. There was nothing in the pit.
I love seeing horrible things happen to the guys. You know,
there was nothing in the pit. Gabe climbs out the pit. Is like, okay, there's nothing there. Do it.
And Agnes said, "Well, I'm waiting outside of the room, and if you guys are stupid enough to do it, I'll hold you. I'll keep the door shut and keep you in."
Even Blacktail walked out the room.
Blacktail got out alongside Agnes.
And to me, that was like the GM telling us, "You don't want to fucking do this. Get the fuck out now." If the non-player controlled animal, who's meant to be super smart, because Blacktail's a Mabari, and has got some sort of magical sensing ability himself for some strange reason, is like, he doesn't like it, we shouldn't be in here.
Yeah. Yeah, so he had more sense.
But the fact is, in my opinion, considering Pete, the character Pete is playing, her background, her actions, whatever she's here for, he's playing her out of character.
To want to keep the door shut like that because she's chasing a bit of Tanador.
Yes.
Yes, well, there is that. The only way
If there's someone sort of big beastie for us to fight, and happens to be an honourable kill of it.
I would like to think that Pete would be able to reason it away, if he could be bothered.
But I think the only thing Pete would reason away right now is out of character. It's like, because this seems too much like a Cthulhu-esque thing, I don't want any part of it.
Well, I was just thinking more of like...
Out of character.
The lady, the lady being a berserker, having like a red rage where she doesn't think straight.
Maybe.
Comes over her from time to time. Yes. Well, anyway...
Maybe, but I think he's putting too much of himself into this character again.
Probably.
That's the problem here.
It could be that, yeah. Well, that's obviously the big goal for him trying to play this character. Something of it.
It's not one he made. We made it for him.
It's a challenge for him.
Yeah.
Because he keeps falling into similar kind of archetypes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Within his characters. And
even Borheim might probably had a similar aspect, but we would never know because he never got to play it properly.
No. Another one bit the dust, eh? Well, anyway.
Oh, yeah. Craig was like, at the time, was like, Pete, I've already killed 3 of your characters. Don't make it 4.
The ceremony went off. Black tentacles erupted from the pit.
Which Gabe was not standing in at the time. Thank fuck for that.
Or the real true effects would have taken place.
And my reaction to this was, oh, fuck. I've seen enough hentai to know where we don't want this to go.
It wouldn't have gone anything like that.
Yes, but that's the joke.
This is a very Cthulhu-esque...
It was a joke, okay?
Right. It is an astral being.
Yes.
An extraplanar creature.
Yeah. You get plenty of extraplanar creatures in Dungeons and Dragons. We don't want to mess with them.
Yes, but you don't get many in this.
Yes, and the ones that do show up are going to be really, really bothersome.
This is beyond even the ideas of, like, the Fade.
Oh yeah, this has got nothing to do with the Fade.
This is far past that type of concept.
The things that have to deal with this wish they had to deal with things from the Fade.
I mean, you're going to find that all of the things connected with this have a new handle on the way they do things. Like, for instance, spellcasters connected to the Order will have new types of way they can do spells that normal casters can't.
Yeah.
Because they're so blessed by the unspeakable
Yes,
ones.
and obviously they don't have to worry about blood magic either.
Yeah.
Because they got something that's better than blood magic.
So, anyway, you guys had to test, and some of you didn't.
Tandale was the only one who didn't. I got lucky.
Ended up...
-2 cunning, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. So, Karak as well.
On the second test.
Yeah. And you were both scrambling to get out of the room.
Yeah, Pete was like, okay, I'm going to open the door to let Blacktail in.
But he opened the door and you scrambled out.
Yeah.
And Tanadil scrambled out.
Tanadil pushed his way out, though.
Yeah.
And then Karak was like, okay, I say to Blacktail, bite the bitch on the leg, get the badger. Get the badger.
Yeah, well, you were in the temple there. You felt a little bit dumber.
Yeah.
In more ways than one.
For it.
Although you would have got good experience just for being exposed to something awful.
Yeah.
And the terrible voices that flowed through your heads and the terrible supernatural effects.
That's like, gain X amount of insanity points.
Basically. I mean, if you'd have been in the pit, you'd have been looking at up
You would have been fucked over.
You would have been looking at up to at least -5 on the cunning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? With trying to heal up 1 cunning every day, which these will be able to do also, but the cunning being left at a permanent -1 if you didn't pass a test.
Yeah.
And possibly other stats too.
It would have been a permanent -1 that you could put back up, but any points you put into it already are fucked.
Yeah. Pretty much.
The funny thing is, if Amelia had had that happen to her, it wouldn't be much of a problem, because she's already at -2 cunning.
Yeah. But then Amelia, I guess, would be at -2.5.
Maybe.
Taking into account the upper end of points.
Yeah, the getting to 6 and above.
She'd have to get rid of the 2.5 just to get it to -2. Ha!
Yeah.
I could be very evil like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
considering that Tanadil technically would have gone down to -3.
You pushed on down the way through the other open door.
Yeah.
And you came to a door that...
found a corridor that had multiple
doors, so you came to the first door, opened it...
Gabe was like, okay.
Saw that it was skeletons inside.
I was like, open it, poke my head
that it was
through.
4 chests.
I was like, close the door. Okay, could one of you take a quick look? Because I want to know if this room's got one of those magic key things on it that might say, it shows what the viewer wants to see. It's a treasure room. Gabe's a rogue. There's chests in there guarded. It's like, yes, that seems very much of what Gabe might want to see.
He wants to see skeletons.
Well, he wants to see a treasure room.
Yes, well.
The fact that it's guarded might be some sort of magical thing of that automatically it's guarded. It's a treasure room, it's probably got guards.
Anyway, the rest of the group saw that too.
And they're like, okay.
And the skeletons started coming at them. And, well, it was decided, let's push Agnes in and let her deal with it on her own. And no, let's nail the bloody door shut as well.
Yeah.
From the outside.
Yeah.
But then Gabe just said, oh, do you know what? I'm going to get in there with her. And help her out. And Agnes agreed to it.
Yep.
She said, "Oh, so all right, fine. I'll go in and deal with your skeletons, your 5 skeletons." So Gabe and Agnes are in the room with those skeletons. However,
outside,
an ambush is coming. But we won't get to find out what that is till next session.
End of part 1.
And at the next one, we'll undertake the actual combat itself and see what all of this is about and explore the rest of the Temple of the Unspeakable One. And what ramifications.
That's the thing about our series. It's always multi-part episodes.
It is.
Every one, for every little bit. It might be an arc that might have like X amount of episodes to it, but every single minor section has maybe multiple parts
at
to
least
begin with.
It's not as bad as like Bleach anime though, where one fight takes like 9 episodes.
And on top of that, where it's one fight takes 9 episodes, and then we're in the middle of said fight. It's like insert filler in a series, which is like another 26 episodes of bullshit before we even conclude the fight, just to have another filler series pop up.
We'll leave it there, and I'll say until next time, I'll see you at the table.